Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I want to thank all of my channel members for supporting me in this endeavor to save pop culture. And if you are not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We need you. Thank you. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, broadcasting from my hidden base at the center of the Earth. And today I come to you with yet more proof that Jon Favreau is moving away from the disastrous Disney sequel trilogy and planning to remove as much of Kennedy's cultural vandalism from Star Wars moving forward as possible. Folks, things are not going well for Kennedy at Lucasfilm. As I reported in a previous video, word on the street is this coming Star Wars celebration is going to serve as one big Viking funeral for Kennedy. There will be panels praising her many achievements at Lucasfilm, saying what an amazing producer she is, nay, a legend, verily as like unto a goddess of cinema, all with a straight face, and all while they usher her to the door and kick her to the curb with much pomp and circumstance, and Lucasfilm employees scramble to repair the damage she's done. This is, rumor has it, part of her price for going quietly away without kicking and stomping petulantly, and it seems like Disney is willing to pay that price and more just to be rid of her. Apparently, Miss Kathy has a massive ego for reasons that defy explanation, given how her legacy is one of stubborn, persistent, and repeated failures at Lucasfilm. But regardless of how badly she's failed, it's very important that everyone behave as if she had succeeded, all to placate her enough that she won't burn down Hollywood with whatever leverage she has acquired over the years. You hang around Hollywood long enough, you tend to know where the metaphorical bodies are buried, and that knowledge is extremely combustible. And thus, rumor has it that Star Wars Celebration 2023 will celebrate Kennedy's departure loudly and proudly in hopes she won't toss a match on her way out the door. So what does this mean for Star Wars moving forward, potentially? It means that if Favreau is going to be moving away from the Disney sequel trilogy, it's going to start happening soon. The timing is right. Kennedy's power is rapidly diminishing as people realize she has one foot out the door, and Favreau is already starting to fix the mess she made. Case in point, The Mandalorian. There was a small detail at the start of The Mandalorian that many people missed, a tiny thing with massive implications, a bit of editing that demonstrates Favreau's attitude towards Kennedy and what she's done to the Star Wars franchise, which gives us a hopeful glimpse of the shape of things to come.
At this point, Kennedy reportedly cares about two things: her bonuses and her legacy. She wants to take the money and run, maybe get a deal where she gets a bunch of hollow executive producer credits on various things, but she wants to make damn sure that her Star Wars remains as broken and full of woke bullshit as she left it when she's gone.
That may be beyond her powers, Harvey, as the following story will illustrate. This latest bit of intelligence comes from the source codenamed Sparrow. My dear friend Kamran Pasha sent me this information, which is also posted on his Patreon page, and it confirms that the Lucasfilm Civil War is still raging on, especially now that Kennedy is getting weaker, and it strongly implies that Favreau is on our side when it comes to the hated sequel trilogy.
But what about Dave Filoni? A recent tweet alleged that Filoni was praising The Last Jedi as the greatest Star Wars film of all time in a Hollywood Reporter article a few days ago. Is Filoni a traitor?
Skull of Calderon, I have reviewed that article, and I will have the truth about what Filoni actually said at the end of this video, so please stay tuned because lots of things are being said about Filoni, and I'd like to set the record straight here, at least insofar as I understand it. But before I do that, let's go over this latest rumor. As it turns out, most people didn't pay attention to the introductory corporate video attached to the beginning of the Season 3 opener of The Mandalorian. You know, the short clip where they show all the most iconic helmets from Star Wars, past and future. Well, my friends, there was one helmet missing from that opening video: Kylo Ren's helmet. That's right, my friends. It's a fact. They redid the titles to get rid of Kylo Ren. And Kennedy didn't find out about it until it was too late, and she is allegedly furious about it. At this point, I must state that this is information provided to me by a source through Kamran Pasha, claiming knowledge of the situation at Lucasfilm, but since I cannot personally verify this information, I must present this as rumor, and I ask you to please take it with a grain of salt. This is what Kamran Pasha told me, quote, "According to Sparrow, Jon Favreau removed the Kylo Ren image from the opening collage of Star Wars characters as part of his plan to soft reboot the Disney trilogy. Favreau will be making these kind of minor adjustments moving forward to start preparing the fandom for his new Star Wars universe, one in which the Disney sequels do not exist. And when Kathleen Kennedy moves on, the hard reboot will be executed through Ahsoka, changing the timeline to erase Kennedy's failure." Cameron adds, "And here is another revelation that adds salt to Ms. Kennedy's wound. As someone who has worked on title credits on my own shows, I can attest that not only does it cost money to create new credits with designers, the credits must be approved by a higher up, in this case, Bob Iger himself. What is striking and incredibly funny is that Kathleen Kennedy was completely left out of the loop in conversations between Favreau and Iger, where the Disney CEO essentially gave him carte blanche to do what needs to be done to set Star Wars on its post-Kennedy path. She was not consulted on the opening sequence change and only realized that Kylo Ren had been deleted when someone gave her word from my Patreon report, which perhaps should not be a complete surprise, as Kennedy appears to have no idea what is going on at the company she allegedly runs and has never been aware of anything happening under her nose, hence the debacle of Solo, which was nearly finished shooting before she realized what the directors were doing with the movie. This is a much smaller thing to not notice than an entire movie being shot different from your expectations. Many fans also didn't see the opening credits change either initially. But the fact that the president of Lucasfilm had no idea that an underling had removed a lead character of her cherished trilogy from the credits is testament to not just her lack of knowledge about what is going on around her, but also to her lack of power to stop it. According to Sparrow, Kennedy confronted Favreau about the change once she was made aware of it from this Patreon, and he simply referred her to the boss, i.e. Iger, and indicated that the change had been approved above her pay grade, unquote. And so, it appears that Jon Favreau is on our side when it comes to the Disney sequel trilogy. But what of Dave Filoni? There was a post on Twitter quoting an article in The Hollywood Reporter where Filoni mentions Rian Johnson, and in that Twitter post, Filoni is supposedly quoted as saying, "Filoni, Rian is obviously a very talented filmmaker. I mean, he gave us arguably the greatest Star Wars movie. I was just very fortunate to sit and listen and learn," unquote. Thanks, Dave. The future of Star Wars looks bright. I was taken aback by that quote. I mean, literally, no Star Wars fan would ever say such a ludicrous thing, not even those who have been kicked in the head by a donkey often enough to like the sequel trilogy. So I went and read the Hollywood Reporter article referenced in the tweet, and here is everything that Filoni said about Rian Johnson in that article. Quote, "So when you decided to transition to live-action filmmaking, you shadowed Rian Johnson on Star Wars The Last Jedi, right?" "Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy and I talked from the very beginning of her coming into Lucasfilm about whether there would be opportunities for me to experiment with live action or try it. And she really worked at coming up with a plan to educate me and get me involved. I visited J.J. Abrams on The Force Awakens, I visited Gareth Edwards on the Rogue One, and I visited Rian Johnson on The Last Jedi. But Rian was the one who shoved me up front, sticking lenses in my hand and really getting me immersed in it. And so I still talk with him to this day. He's obviously a very talented filmmaker, and I was just very fortunate to be in such an environment where I could sit and listen and learn," unquote. And that's it, folks. So as you can see, the tweet that stirred up so much anger against Dave Filoni is not accurate. It's possible that the poster was making a joke, or basically taking a quote from some other source. I really don't know. Yes, Filoni admits to personally liking Rian Johnson because Johnson helped teach Filoni something about live-action filmmaking, and so he was being grateful in a show-busy kind of way, paying tribute to somebody that had done him a favor, if you will. But Filoni says nothing else about Johnson in that article, and certainly nothing about The Last Jedi specifically, so that part about how he gave us the greatest Star Wars movie of all time is not true, at least not in this article. And there you have it, my friends. I have maintained for years there was a plan to erase the sequel trilogy, or at least decanonize the damn thing. And though of course it has taken years because Hollywood moves very slowly, it seems like all the dominoes are in place. The only question is, in the end, will Favreau have enough power to push that domino over once KK is finally gone? Watch this space. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.
Ha 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 ha.